Right? The topic of multicollinearity is important. Okay. So if you want to minimize this bias, what will you do? So if x1 and x2 are correlated, but you want to minimize that bias, what will you do? Yeah. Yeah, you should. But that will still increase the variance of beta hat 1. Because the variance of beta hat 1 will now be, it will involve z hat, and z hat will have some x hat, so it will have some variance anyway. So that will help. Right? So is this clear, friends? Okay. So basically, so if you have to minimize this bias, what do you do? How do you minimize, how do you reduce the variance of x1? How do you reduce the variance of beta at 1? How do you reduce the variance of beta at 2? Increase n. So you need more observations.
So but with more observations, you need more x2 also, right?
Yeah, but n will go up in both the cases. No? In both the cases you have greater n. What is the second option? Increase the variance of x1, increase the variance of x2. So the more get the fresher observations, the traditional observations, let them come from a wider spectrum of x1 and x2. Right? So if you want to do a serious problem of multicollinearity, if x1 and x2 are highly correlated, you are not comfortable with the model, get more observations, but don't get them at the same time. So basically we are improving information on beta at 1, we are improving information on beta at 2 by getting more observations with a wider variety. Right, so that's how you will minimize the effect of multicollinearity. There is no other way of minimizing multicollinearity. Unlike autocorrelation and heteroscedasticity, you cannot create an FGLS for multicollinearity. So multicollinearity in that sense is a different kind of a problem. With autocorrelation or heteroscedasticity, you can transform the existing data so that they are free of the initial problem, autocorrelation or heteroscedasticity, by doing an FGLS. If you have multicollinearity, then you just need more data of a different kind. Right? So therefore the problem with multicollinearity is essentially a data kind of a problem. Whereas heteroscedasticity, autocorrelation could be solved by respecifying the model. You can't solve the problem of multicollinearity by respecifying the model. You can sort of mitigate it by increasing the number of observations that you have, increasing the variability of x1 or x2, or simply being sensitive to the fact that your t-values have a downward bias. Your t-values have a downward bias. So multicollinearity in that sense is a bit of a different problem. Sure? Okay. The last thing I want to discuss with you about the linear regression model is the idea of a dummy variable. A dummy variable is a very, very interesting idea. Okay? Suppose now, see, we are used to models of the kind yi, where both yi and xi are numbers. And this tells you how the conditional mean of y depends upon x. That's the way you find out. But suppose I have a situation where the x variable is not a numeric variable, but is a qualitative variable. Right? For example, I might want to find out how many credit card transactions or how many Paytm transactions are made by educated people versus uneducated. Right? Okay? So I would be interested in that. Right? So my hypothesis could be that educated people use Paytm more often than uneducated. Suppose that's that. Then my y variable will of course be the number of Paytms. So I do a survey. I go to people and find out how many Paytm transactions did you make today. And some person says 5, some person 0, some person 1, some person says 6, some person says 3, 2, 4, 5. And I note whether that person is an educated person or an uneducated person. So by Y will be the number of transactions made by the ith person, and X variable will be whether that person is educated or not educated. Now educated and not educated is not a numeric way, it's a qualitative way. That's how do I deal with it in a regression. And that's where the idea of a dummy variable comes into picture. Right? The idea of a dummy variable comes into the picture. What happens with the dummy variable? So suppose you have the date. You have Y, number of transactions 0, 3, 2, 1, 4, 1, 5, 6, 8. So these are the number of transactions made by people. And then we say the education, right? Educated. So E is educated and NE is not educated, right? E is educated. So suppose this is the data. This is the data. So the first person who was educated made no Paytm transaction on that day. The second person who was not educated actually made 3 Paytm transactions. The third person who was not educated made 2 Paytm transactions, and the fourth person who was educated actually made 1 Paytm transaction on that, right? So this is the kind of a deal. So what I do is, I introduce a dummy called DI, which, for example, would take the value 1 for an educated person and 0 for an uneducated person. Right? 0, 1, 1. Yeah? I've re-specified the data. So, I've recoded the data. If a person is educated, then that for the person, the dummy will take a value 1. If that person is not educated, for that particular person, the dummy will take a value of 0. Then I set up a regression which is like this. Yi alpha plus beta di plus E. Right? Alpha plus beta di plus E. Okay. Where, so think of the conditional mean of yi given di is equal to 0. What will that value be? Conditional mean of yi given di is equal to 0. Will be what?
That will be your educated.
That will be just alpha. No? Condition mean of yi given di is equal to 0 must simply be alpha. Isn't it? Condition mean of yi for di is equal to 0 given di is equal to simply be alpha. Conditional mean of yi given di is equal to 1 will be alpha plus beta. Right? Sure? So what is alpha really? Is the mean Paytm usage by people who are not educated. With the condition mean of y given di is equal to 0. There is a mean usage of people who are uneducated. This is alpha. What is alpha plus beta? Mean usage of people for people who are educated. So what is the difference between the two? Beta is the mean difference between Paytm usage by people who are educated and Paytm usage by people who are not educated. So beta is equal to 0, what does that mean? There is no difference. If beta is greater than 0, what does this mean? Yeah, what does that difference mean? If beta is greater than there are more Paytm transactions for educated people compared to uneducated. And if beta is negative, what does that mean? More Paytm transactions by the uneducated. So what are we really doing? We are saying we are using the Paytm usage by uneducated people as the baseline case, and we are comparing whether the Paytm usage by the educated people are more than this or less than this. So when I choose a certain category to have been coded as 0, I use that as a baseline category. And the category which is coded as 1 is a category which gets evaluated relative to the category which I use as a baseline category. So alpha is the baseline category, baseline value for those who are for the uneducated people, right? And alpha plus beta is being compared. Alpha plus beta is a value where you are comparing the usage of Paytm usage of educated people to the Paytm usage of uneducated people. Uneducated people is the basic, right? Uneducated people is the basic, is the baseline that's being compared, right? This is how we use dummy variables. Now suppose I want to, for example, ask you a question. I'm interested in voting patterns, or say I'm interested in income as a relationship to education. And say I have 3 categories of education. People of education only up to the primary standard, people of education between primary and higher secondary, and people of education is above higher secondary. So I have 3 types of people. And I want to create a model where I want to compare the earnings of those who have got greater than higher secondary education and those who have got greater than primary education to individuals having primary education. So the question that I'm asking is, do people who have got higher secondary education, who have got more than primary education, earn more than those who have got primary education, and those who have got education which is higher than higher secondary, do they earn more than those who have a primary education? So I need to set up a model. What kind of a model will I set? So you need to specify the econometric specification for it. I have got 3 categories now, right? So how many dummies will I need? 3 or 2? 2. The baseline will be 1 dummy, no? And there will be 2. So I need 2 dummies. So I need 2 dummies where basically what we'll do is, so your model will be like this. Okay. So you get income, D1 and D2, right? So if the first person has education till about, say, he's got education between primary and higher secondary, then you code this as 1 and this will be 0. If there is somebody who's got higher education above higher secondary, then this will be 1, this will be 0. So the third person has education which is more than primary but less than higher secondary, he will be 1, this will be 0. So the next person saying 1, 0. So the person after that has got education more than higher secondary, then this will be 1, this will be 0, and here you will have y1, y2, y3, y4, etc. Right? And then the model you will run will be yi is equal to alpha plus beta b1i, beta 1 plus beta 2, b2i plus pi. Right?
So when it's only primary, it will be 0, 0.
You don't need that now here, because alpha will actually capture that effect.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
D1 and D2 will be 0.
D1 and D2 will be 0. If it's only primary, D1 and D2 both will be 0. But both will never be 1.
Yeah.
Yeah? It's either or. Both will be 0. If both just primary, then both will be 0. Right. So if these are got, so this will be 0, 0. Right? The last person just never went to school. So last two will be 0. So now what does alpha tell you here? It is the conditional mean of yi, right? So it tells you what is the conditional, what is the average earnings of those who have this primary income. That is D1 and D2 both. Right? What does D1 is equal to 1, D2 is equal to 0 give you? Alpha plus beta. Right? Alpha plus beta. Okay? Right? So what is beta 1 measuring? So what is beta 1 measuring? The difference between those who have primary to higher secondary education and those who have just a primary education. Beta 2 is measuring the difference between those who have higher secondary and above education and those who have less than a primary education. So beta 1, beta 2 therefore must be interpreted carefully. In the standard linear regression context, what does beta 1, beta 2 refer? It tells you how much y changes if x changes by 1 unit. Here we are not interpreting it that way. Here the interpretation is different. Right? Here the interpretation is different. Okay? Here the interpretation is different. So suppose I wanted to find out whether I wanted to use secondary education as the base category, and I wanted to compare how much do those who have less than primary education earn compared to those who have got secondary education, and those who have got how do those who have got more than higher secondary education compared to those who have got just a secondary education.
Secondaries are base.
Secondaries are base. So in which case, how will the coding change? D1 will become primary, D2 will become secondary, or D2 will become or D1 will become secondary and D2 will become primary. But the alpha will represent the secondary. Right? So you have to be very careful in choosing the base category, because that is, that you have to have an important question. So for example, if I ask you that how do those who grow soya bean, those who grow sugarcane, right, those who grow the third cash crop, and those who grow earn relative to those who grow only say millets. So I have to ask a question. There are farmers who grow only millets, and there are farmers who do say 3 or 4 types of cash crops. And I have to understand what are the difference between earnings of say sugarcane relative to millets, sugarcane, soybean relative to millets, cotton cultivation relative to millets. In that question, I have 3 dummies. I've got 4 categories, but I have 3 dummies. 1 dummy for sugarcane, 1 dummy for cotton, 1 dummy for soybean. Right? And the dry land area or millet cultivation would be my base category. Right? And beta 1, beta 2, beta 3 have interpretations of those kinds. Right? So just remember what a dummy variable model works. Now suppose instead of dy is equal, so y is equal to 1 and 0, where there is a yes or no kind of a thing. Suppose I had a wider question. Suppose my yi, so the question I'm asking is the gender Yeah, but that's not what we are getting into, right? You might actually have a situation where even yi is a dummy, where the y variable is not a numeric variable, but the y variable is a qualitative variable. For example, do you vote or not? Yes or no? And then that could depend upon a large number of variables. So the response variable could be a 1, 0 variable. Okay, in which case you have a dummy dependent variable, and that's where we can't use the regression framework. That's where we used to use more maximum likelihood based general, what about general linear models, etc., which we'll learn about if we take a course on called statistical foundations of econometrics later on, right? This is at the moment we are going to spreadsheet, right? At that moment we are going to talk about only the dummy variable becoming different categories and being an explanatory variable. Right? Can you understand the idea of a dummy variable? Okay? Now let me throw some questions there. We now have some time, right? So suppose now let's rack our brains, right? This is a brain racking session, right? So now suppose okay, so suppose I have some data, and in that data, so I have a regression model. Now I am not sure whether this might be the case. Covariance xi ei is not equal to 0. Yeah? And I might also have and all I and sigma square I is different for every I. So I got heteroscedasticity and endogeneity. Yeah, I got heteroscedasticity and endogeneity. Sure? How does one, and I want unbiased estimators, and I also want those estimators to have a lower variance. So I want to also correct for heteroscedasticity, and I also correct for unbiased. I want to also get an unbiased and consistent estimator first, and then make sure that the estimator also has the is also corrected for heteroscedasticity. So what will you do? Yeah. So what would be the suggestion, folks?
First use an IV estimator. By filling Zi, and then find each and every value of yi and xi. And after that, you use an FGLS model to remove.
Perfect. Right? So basically you get y hat minus beta hat IV xi, right? You will get e hat I, and on the basis of that e hat I, you will do an FGLS estimator and correct the data. Right? So your regression that you will do in the first place will not be an OLS. It will do so the estimator will not be OLS in that. The estimator will be an IV estimator. Okay. The other thing that I want to talk, did you talk about leverages and other things? No? Okay. That's also something quite important that I want to talk to you about. You see, one of the things that I said when we dealt with FGLS is that there are two ways of dealing with it. What's the problem with heteroscedasticity? The problem with heteroscedasticity is that variance of beta is not given by sigma square summation xi minus x bar. So one is to reformulate the model so that this formula is correct, which is the FGLS approach, or change the formula, which is another. So let's look at how we can change the formula. I know that if there is a problem of heteroscedasticity, then the variance of beta indeed is you can derive this. It's pretty easy to derive. Yeah, because one day. There is square here. Then there is square here. Everybody can derive this formula? This simply becomes right? And this is nothing but right or wrong? Correct, no? Why are you looking so puzzled? Correct. Yeah? Sure? Now let me first rewrite this a little. So what do I have? Yeah? xi minus x bar. In the numerator, summation xi minus x bar. Yeah, summation xi minus x bar, because we are taking a square, no? So numerator must square hona, no? See, this is where? Here. In the numerator? In the numerator, here you can't remove it, right? Because see, what do I have? x1 square, expectation e1 square, plus x2 square, expectation e2 square, and so on and so on. Right? So that is summation x1 square sigma 1 square plus, right? Now first, let's assume there is no heteroscedasticity. So what does this formula become? This formula becomes sigma square, right? Yeah? Right? So this itself at this stage is an illustrative idea, because at this stage you can realize that this is nothing but sigma square, okay,